Hey there, it's Sony. This is a February 2022 general reading for Aquarius. In this video, I will be looking at the vibe you're stepping out of, the vibe you're tapping into, the challenges you will face along the way, where to focus your strength, and what you will gain from the transition. I'll also be pulling a couple of oracle cards to identify the inner knowledge that will be guiding you during this month and what you can work on manifesting. So, I'll go ahead and start off reading with the vibe that Aquarius is stepping out of. Here we have the Fool. The vibe you're tapping into. Hierophant. Challenge you'll face along the way. Ten of Swords. Where to focus your strength. Page of Wands. What you'll gain in the transition. Death, rebirth. So you have here, of the 5 cards, you have 3 major arcana cards. And interestingly, bottom of the deck, which I take as the influencing energy of the reading, the lesson of the reading overall, or ways to kind of look at an ambiguity, you have the World card. So kind of looks like what you will gain, death, rebirth, is kind of similar to the overall message here. So you have, with the World, you are finishing one journey, starting another journey, kind of reaching goals, accomplishments. With the Fool, what you're stepping out of is an energy of taking calculated risks and kind of exploring your environment and open to whatever comes across your path. You are tapping into this more kind of a spiritual knowledge guru type of path, where you can provide a bridge for people who are, maybe for yourself or others, trying to kind of gain higher knowledge. In terms of the challenge you'll face, you have the Ten of Swords. So kind of perhaps you have previously hit rock bottom and you are now looking at the dawn of a new day and exploring that. What you should focus your strength on is this Page of Wands energy, which is kind of a youthful, adventurous expression of self and kind of seeking to explore the environment around you. And then what you gain is death, rebirth, and in that process, being able to let go of what no longer serves you. And that is a transformation. It can take some getting used to. It's usually not welcomed. It's kind of a rebirth. It's not easy breezy, but based on the kind of cards that you have right here, it kind of seems for you, Aquarius, maybe it will be. So I'm going to go ahead and pull a couple of clarifiers. I'll take the top and bottom of the deck to clarify the vibe you are stepping out of. You have the Hierophant, which is the vibe you're tapping into. In the bottom of the deck, we have the Hanged Man. Aquarius, you are going through a lot of spiritual lessons here. So I kind of take the Hanged Man to be an energy where there is kind of contemplation and a release of the ego and a facing of what truly is kind of this person is holding on to and willing to release when it comes to the Death card and transformation. It's kind of preparing for the transformation. And with the Hierophant, it's kind of this person has the keys that everyone can have access to. Basically, I see it as when everyone kind of hopes things happen in a certain way, and we work hard towards our goals, and sometimes it doesn't necessarily work out that way. And when you have no answers, this kind of Hierophant, this higher knowledge is there to kind of explain the unexplainable to a certain degree. With these taken together, it looks like you are or have been already trying to explore what in your world is more than yourself, where you can kind of connect to other people and just not, I guess, your own internal universe, but things that are outside of yourself. Kind of really heavy stuff. And in terms of the Hierophant here, the vibe you are tapping into, you have the Queen of Pentacles, and you have the Nine of Pentacles. So I take this to mean that you have the ability to create abundance, tap into abundance, be connected to your environment, people in your environment, to nature, and can manifest beauty and basically have what you need on earth to be happy in physical, material sense, and a sense of self-value, self-worth, which I think a lot of people would love to feel. I think a lot of people have it and don't recognize it, but looks like you have it and you recognize it, so that's great. So it's interesting you have the Ten of Swords here in the challenge. So we'll see, get a clarification for what that's about. Okay, you have the Eight of Swords, and you have the Twins, or traditionally the Lover's card. So with the Eight of Swords, it's usually a feeling of not being able to advance or to do anything, kind of like being bound. It's not like this hangman. Like this hangman is accepted not to struggle against the bindings, but that process in of itself, there is a transformation and like a tapping into like a higher sense of self. But this Eight of Swords is kind of the thoughts that we have that are self-limiting, that we can't do things, and there's not really an exploration of kind of what's the potential and what are we accepting. It's kind of just this swords kind of piercing back, or just the impression that the swords are kind of piercing back at this at the individual. And here with the twins, here this is the sixth card in a major arcana. That usually indicates balance and harmony when it comes to decisions. There's a moral factor involved and kind of a dedication and unity in that process. Doesn't necessarily have to be romantic love, but it is a commitment to something outside of yourself. And it seems to be like a conflicting points of view, where this is you can't do anything on your own, and this is everything you can accomplish is because of what potential there is outside of you. So I think in terms of this Ten of Swords, it's perhaps self-limiting thoughts, people that we trust. Perhaps there was a person in the past that, or people in the past that you had trusted, and it was the wrong call at that time. So basically it's kind of looking at potential again, opening your heart and trusting and so forth, and that might be the challenge. And where to focus your strengths, you have the Page of Wands. The Page of Wands is all about self-expression and jumping into a new situation with like a childlike wonder, and there's no preconceived limitations or concerns, just kind of a free spirit, similar to the Fool, which is the vibe that you're stepping out of. Maybe you're still in that vibe. So I'm going to clarify the Page of Wands there. Yeah, the Two of Swords, which kind of indicates needing to make a decision, but kind of stuck in the fear and anxiety of it. And then there's the Five of Wands, which is kind of conflict, chaos, competing agendas. And that could be internal. It could be that there are different priorities, and so it's kind of difficult to make a decision about what to do in the future when you're kind of not on the same page with yourself. Same page, Page of Wands, no pun intended. So interestingly, in the Eight of Swords, the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith deck, the person is actually wearing a blindfold, surrounded by 8 swords, and kind of standing in like a little puddle of water, and just really flooded by the emotion of being enclosed. Here, the Two of Swords, this person has a blindfold on and is holding 2 swords over their heart, and they could put the swords down and kind of take off the blindfold blindfold. But really, if there are kind of competing goals and will, maybe this person doesn't know if they should try to take the blindfold off first, put down the swords first, try to figure out a different way to do things. But all of those kind of concepts kind of make it hard to jump around and throw a stick up in the air. So it's kind of really when you find yourself maybe kind of stuck or unsure about which direction to go in first, maybe just pick one and then you can go on to having be your joyful self. And in terms of the death, rebirth, transformation being what you'll gain, you have the Nine of Swords, and the Knight of Wands. So again, I see this kind of conflict with a mental process and a desire to act based on passion kind of being at play. So maybe there is some kind of transformation that needs to take place there, and might be kind of hard to know how to direct that energy and that desire and passion without thinking about it. But when you start thinking about it and it stifles your ability or it puts out your fire and your desire, then you kind of have to just make a choice. Might not be the great choice there is, but at least making that choice will kind of hopefully keep intact that drive and passion. So here you have the clarifying deck. At the bottom you have the Queen of Cups. So it's interesting because I'm not seeing any cups in any of these cards. Am I wrong? You got wands, swords, swords, pentacles, major arcana, swords, wands. No. So Queen of Cups, maybe in kind of this rebirth transformation, make sure that you are taking care of yourself, showing yourself compassion, and making decisions from the heart. Have some TLC for yourself and others. We will go ahead and pull an oracle card here to, sorry about that, Aquarius. Had a little change of scenery to do. Back to looking for the inner knowledge that will be guiding this transition for you in February 2022. So we have here Eagle Spirit, Freedom. So eagle is an animal that's associated with air sign, and they also have very good sight and can see things from a very high perspective. That could be indicative of higher knowledge. It also could be indicative of taking objective look at things. But based on what you have so far with the World, the Queen of Cups, the Fool, the Hierophant twice, the Hangman, I will say, Aquarius, for you, this is about freedom to explore your higher knowledge. And then in looking at what you can work on manifesting this month, we have passion. And I know there were a decent amount of wands. You have the Knight of Wands and the Page of Wands. So, and I recall discussing the swords and the mind and the wands and the passion, and trying to kind of balance those out where you're actually making quicker decisions so that you can focus, keep this passion kind of energized and going. Seems like a pretty decent reading for you, Aquarius. So enjoy your February 2022, and we'll see you next time.